And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. I'm glad you all could join us once again. So excited to welcome to our program today author Natasha Frazier. She's the author of a lot of books. Today, we're going to be talking about the McCall family series. Of course, many people have already been up the book. Those of you who are new to Natasha, I want to let you guys know how to be able to get them. The last book in her McCall family series is this one. I have the print edition here with Every Moment. We're going to talk to her about what it's been like for her to see the response to her books, the messages she's been able to share, and also the relationships she's been able to form with her readers as well. I want to say for those tuning in on the Amazon Live side, welcome to the broadcast. If you guys are new to us here, we have programming 7 days a week here on the Amazon platform. You guys can click over in this corner or down below to be able to hit that follow button so you stay connected with us as we are here on Amazon 7 days a week. Also, you'll notice there is a carousel or down below, depending on what device you're joining us on today. In that carousel, you'll see Natasha's books. Feel free as we're going throughout. We'll be featuring throughout the show. Make sure you guys click on those books, be able to get them for yourselves. They're available, as you can see, in Kindle as well as the print edition as well. And also, we'll let you guys know how to stay connected with Natasha too. Natasha, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you.
So, Natasha, I want to talk about this experience. As I mentioned, the third book in the McCall family series came out this year with Every Moment. I have mine right here. What has it been like for you to see the way that people have responded to the series?
Oh my goodness. Just this series in general, the love that I've received and the outpouring of readers just really enjoying the story, enjoying the journey of the characters. I really enjoyed that, and I'm happy that I've been able to bring readers a series that they love.
Yeah, yeah. Did you know going into this that this was going to be a series? Did you know that there's a group of characters that you wanted to be able to explore and spend some time with?
Absolutely. This was actually one of the first series that I actually planned. So I knew going in that there would be 3 books in the series.
Yeah.
I knew,
So you
especially
mentioned
with
the 3 books. I'm sorry. I'm
especially
sorry. Go
with
ahead, Natasha.
book 2 in the series, we had to get the brother's point of view. Because in book 1, of course, many readers were frustrated with him and his character and how he was responding to his brother. So it was important for us to get and see his side of things, and also to see his growth.
Mm. You're talking about there with the first book with every step. I think you have that great as well as with their moment. And I think some very relatable. Is that kind of also shows they both enjoy your books?
I think so. I do believe that I write more for women, but there are men who do enjoy the books as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dr. Claire, we see you over there on the side. I didn't mention it, but we are simulcasting it here live on Facebook, on Twitter. So Twitter, you guys as well as over there on YouTube. Feel free if you guys have any comments or anything like that. You see, we have our comment there on the screen. Make sure you guys do chime in, especially if you have a favorite character of Natasha. Would love to be able to hear from that as well. Natasha, I love watching your journey. We're glad to have you here on the Amazon talk about this because you were doing what so many people talk. A lot of people talk about. I'm going to write that book, or I'm going to, I'm going to have these books that readers are going to enjoy. You literally have done that. When did this all begin? Did you know that storytelling was something you wanted to do?
Wow, way back in high school, I had a bit of an inkling that storytelling was something that I wanted to do because I started reading the arabesque romance novels that my mom would buy, but she wouldn't read them. And so she would leave them lying around the house. And one day, I was about 15 or 16, I asked her if I could read them. And she said yes. And so from that point on, I enjoyed reading and the whole storytelling. And so even as I went to college for just a half a second, I contemplated changing my major from business administration to English, but I thought, there's no way I can make any
Mm,
money from this. So, of course, I had to stick
wow.
to the business path. And it wasn't until
Mm,
many years later, if anybody has heard me speak before, I've talked about it several times. And when I started writing devotionals back in 2011. And so at that point, the idea of writing had been really heavy on my heart. And so I began to pray about it. And one of the last times I prayed about it and studied my Bible, I read Joshua 18:3. And it says, "How long are you going to wait before you take possession of
mm,
the land the Lord your God has already given to you?" And so, of course, in context, that scripture is talking about the group of Israelites who were waiting for the land that God had promised them. But he said, "Hey, I'd already given it to you. You just have to go and get it." And so for me, that just spoke to my own procrastination, that, I was waiting on, I guess, something physical to happen, whereas I'd already had the tools I needed. I just had to go and do it. And so even
mm,
then, I still didn't take the step. I waited several more months, and now it's 2012 around January, and I was playing with my daughter, and in the background we had just finished watching, well, I had just finished watching TD Jakes on TV. And so when he went off, someone else came on. And I'm half listening, but she starts talking about this book she was supposed to write and how she had the title, the chapters, and she had never shared it with anyone. And she had gone to this prayer conference or something, and the speaker called her forward and spoke the title of the book and the chapters that she had in her ear. And she
mm.
had never done anything with it. And even at the point of time when she was telling a story, she still hadn't written the book. And then she
Wow.
went on to talk about how, when God gives us something, it's for his glory and not for ours. And you just never know who you're going to touch by being obedient. And so at that point, that's when I took the step of faith and started writing and just
Right.
kind of went from there.
And you mentioned the devotionals, like I think "Not Without You" was one that was kind of early on. I think. I mean, and now, of course, to think about what you've been able to do, Natasha, with not only that, but also to weave in faith, friendship, family, of coincidence you're able to entertain, but also to share a message as well.
Mhm. And I'm a romantic at heart, so I got to have some romance in all of my
Yeah,
fiction.
yeah, right, right. And I think it not only romance. Actually, we definitely see it with every moment in particular. I mean, there is the idea of forgiveness that comes up. Of course, we all know about
Mhm.
that. Either having to ask for it,
Yeah.
having to give it, right? But
Right.
it's so real. Do you hear that a lot too? People actually feel like they know these characters you created.
Yes. And even with myself spending so much time with them, to me, they're real. These are real people to me.
Mm,
And even with this particular series, I picked out actors that I would like to play these characters even before I started writing the book. As I was building the characters, I have pictures of them on my board of who I
wow.
wanted to play the person. And so to see when I see the people on the internet, I'm thinking like, oh, well, that's Nina or that's Andrew, because that's who they are to me, because I've spent so much time creating these characters with these actors in mind. So they're real people to me.
Mm, mm. And I think they're real to so many. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, you're why we're joined today by Natasha D. Frazier. We're talking with her not only about her literary journey, but also like for her to do what she loves and to share it with all of you. Today, we're spending most of our time talking about the McCall Family series that is in the carousel either below or on the side of us, depending on how you're watching us on Amazon. But she has other books as well, so definitely invite you guys to go to Natasha's author page. We're going to get into that as well. I mentioned that you have the first book of the series there with every step. Talk to us about how this all began. What was the seed that kind of began for you when it came to this series, Natasha? How did it all start?
Okay, so With Every Breath is the first book. And so
Okay.
that book starts with Nina, who is diagnosed with a terminal illness. And the idea for that book, yes, actually sprang from something that I experienced, because I knew from the beginning that I wanted to be a second chance romance. I knew I wanted to include Jackson State University, which is my alma mater. And so I knew that I wanted the characters to reconnect somehow and take a trip. But of course, it's how we're going to get them to do that. So when I was contemplating building the character Nina Robinson in the book, I had experienced like these bouts of dizziness for a couple of months, and it turns out that it was why can't I think of the name of it anymore? Vertigo. And as I experienced that, I'm thinking like, wow, we can give this to the character, but just make it, just bump it up 1,000, make it really real to her, something that, she would really have to overcome. And we wanted Andrew to be sympathetic to her as well, and put him in a situation where he'd have to choose what was going on in his life or demonstrating his love for her.
Wow, wow. And I think too, so as you go from then with every breath, then to with every step, and now with the third book in the series, with every moment, I think too, Natasha, the other thing I want to say that I really love about this series is you could really be able to just pick up one of them and get a full story. But of course, as any series, it's great to be able to get like the journey of the group, to be able to read them all. Did you go into it with that intent as well, that someone could pick up, any one of the books and be able to get a story they could be able to understand? But definitely that would be deep, and if they did read the other books too.
Absolutely. We always want that, because in a sense, we want the stories to stand alone while also being connected at the same time. And so I think that's what we have in the McCall family series. And if you do read them out of
Hello to you,
order,
Dr.
you may
Belma.
get
Good
the
to be able to
sense that you do.
see you. Yeah. And I'm sorry, Dr. Belma, good to be able to see you. Appreciate you joining us as well over there on the Facebook side. And to that point, then, I mean, for you, did you feel as though every book kind of had its own, like I mentioned, forgiveness earlier? That definitely comes through with every moment, but also the a fresh start in some respects. How we all kind of want that. It's just a matter of how it comes about, and if it's always if a second chance is always a good thing, right? Did you find that there was a theme that you kind of wanted to have, Natasha, from book to book?
Yes. And so the overall theme is second chances. Though with every step, the second book, his second chance came in a different way, not necessarily in a form of relationship with the lady he started dating, but in second chance with his family, having that, they had to repair their relationships.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I want to talk about social media because as we're having comments coming through, and I see our friends over there on YouTube too. Guys, feel free, guys. You guys have your chat feature open as well. Feel free to be able, if you have any comments there, I'll be glad to too. Social media, I think, has helped both of us, Natasha, in reaching an audience that we couldn't just do in person, right? How has it helped you as a story, an author? How has social media helped you to amplify your voice, but also to introduce you to new readers?
So there are several Facebook groups that I'm involved in that kind of help with that, getting a chance to reach people that I wouldn't ordinarily get a chance to reach. And even
Mm-hmm.
with one group in particular, the Christian Book Lovers Retreat, through that group, I've gotten a chance to attend their event and meet readers that I ordinarily wouldn't have gotten a chance to meet. Also, just getting a chance to interact with readers on social media, I think has proven to be pretty helpful as well.
I think for anyone who has a gift or a calling on themselves, one part of it is to recognize it. Of course, the other part, as you mentioned, by watching the broadcast, listen to the broadcast that you were listening to, is to take the action. you were an example to other people, Natasha, of what can happen when you take the action. How does that feel to not only have readers that are inspired by you, but also your fellow authors too, who love and respect what you've been able to do, but also the steps you've been able to take to pursue your goals and dreams?
I think we all inspire each other because I pick up a lot of different things from the authors that I surround myself with. But I think
Mm-hmm.
even in saying that, I think it's very important that we surround ourselves with people who can encourage us. Because even as encouragers, we need people who are going to pour into us and encourage us as well.
Right. Dr. Velma is mirroring what I said. Yes, she's a great writer, and I think that's the thing. I
Oh,
mean, to be able
thank
to
you.
have that kind of a support system definitely means a lot. Was it hard for you to decide that this series is only going to be three books, and B, to be able to let them go at the end?
Ooh, it wasn't hard to decide that it would be three, but once I got to the end, and even my editor said the same. She was like, "Oh well, Bernadette needs a book now," and that is Danielle's mom, who was introduced in book three. So I kind of thought about it, like, well, maybe we can do a short something at some point. Maybe give her a short Christmas story. But hard letting it go, yes. I have a problem
Mm,
with letting go. Period. I used to
mm,
watch soap operas in college, and I liked it because they never ended. And
yeah.
so, with that aspect of it and pulling that into my work, I have a hard time just separating myself from things. But I knew that there were other things that I wanted to write. So, right now, I'm working on a romantic suspense series, which is new for me. And so, I knew I had to let that go in order to move on to something else.
Mm. What is it that keeps you inspired and able to do so much? You've already achieved much, Natasha. What is it that keeps this fun for you?
It's something that's ingrained in me. It's a passion. And I was just telling my husband the other day that when I don't write, like I just don't feel well. I don't feel like I've
Mm,
accomplished what I needed to accomplish for that day if writing is not a part of that. And so it's just
mm,
part of me. I have to do it. I find out I get a lot of joy in writing.
wow. Well, I think the thing is, and readers enjoy it too, right? I mean, I think that's the great thing, knowing that you're able to do something you love, but also other people are able to enjoy it as well. I want to ask you another thing about with every moment, and I'll be writing my review actually this weekend for it on Amazon. Definitely encourage anyone else who's actually read the books to make sure you guys are sharing your thoughts with Natasha and others because they're important to do. I like the fact that you are able to create equal opportunity offenders, right? It's not that in all your books all the guys are bad and all the women are great, or that all the women are bad, all the men are great. You're able to show that as in life, that we all kind of go through our things, and as you mentioned, we see it show in different ways, not only in relationships, but also in our dealings with our family and in our dealings with ourselves. Because even in this book there is that idea too of the struggle with oneself, being honest with
Mhm.
oneself as well. Um, is it that kind of helps you with that? Because I think as you're writing a book, or even coming up with a story, the characters have to speak to you. Is the fact that they're all equally flawed? Is that one of the things that makes it easier?
Well, you want to make them equally flawed, and I think maybe in the beginning of my writing, I probably lean toward one gender more, but I'm just learning
Right.
that every because we're all flawed, and
Yes.
so in creating that character, determining what their flaw is at the beginning and how they're going to deal with it is what has helped me in this series.
Mm, love that. Love that. What advice would you give to people who are like you were a decade ago, Natasha, who knew you had something but had not shared it? What advice would you give to someone today who finds himself in a similar situation?
And this is going to sound so simple, but you just have to do it. Um, a lot of times because things seem so grand and much larger than we can imagine, we tend not to take any steps. but sometimes just taking just a little step, even if it's writing, hey, write 10 minutes, or say, hey, I'm only going to write 100 words, because there are times when I don't necessarily have the time or haven't made the time that day, but I sit down and say, hey, I'm just going to do 100 words tonight, because now I feel like I've done something. And a lot of times it ends up being way more than 100, but it's being able to sit down and create that time for it, because one of the biggest excuses we have is time, like not having the time. And so you have to look at your life and think, okay, well, what can I give up? Can I stay off social media 30 minutes? Can I get up 30 minutes earlier? Can I stay up 30 minutes later? Can I use my lunch break? Whatever that is for you, we just have to assess ourselves and determine, okay, what it is, what we're willing to do or give up to take that step.
Love that. That's a great reminder for all of us. Again, everyone, Natasha D. Frazier has been our guest on the Amazon Live side. Make sure you guys are clicking through and picking up books on McCall Family Series. And again, she's made it very easy for you guys to be able to enjoy them in print as well as in Kindle. So feel free to be able to pick your format and get those for yourself. And as I mentioned, go to her author page there on Amazon as well. There you'll find her other books there too. And Natasha, how can they stay connected with you? Where's the best place to be able to find you?
Yes, so I'm on all the social media channels, Instagram, author_Natasha Frazier, Facebook, just my name, Natasha D. Frazier, on Twitter, author_Natasha F, and of course my website, natashafrazier.com, which is probably the best place to find me.
All right. So make sure you guys are staying connected. Natasha, great catching up with you here. Glad you could stop by, and looking forward to our next conversation together.
Absolutely.
And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.